this time we're going to open or call to order the concurrent joint meetings of the City Council, City of Commerce, Joint Powers Financing Authority, and the governing body of the successor agency to the Commerce Community Development Commission. Lena, could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember Linus,
Here.
Vice Mayor Altamirano,
Here.
and Mayor Guimedo.
Here. And do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Nothing? All right, seeing none, we're going to recess to closed session. And do you mind covering the items we'll be discussing?
Item number 1, conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated potential litigation, 2 matters. Item number 2, conference. The City Council will confer with its real property negotiator with respect to real estate negotiations regarding A, Mitsubishi property, property located at 5440 Telegraph Road, Commerce, California, B, 5550 Harbor Street, Commerce, California, and C, Craig Realty properties located at Telegraph Road and Gasper Avenue.
Thank you. And at this time, we'll recess to closed session. Everybody ready? Okay, at this time, we're going to reconvene from closed session. Legal counsel, can we have a report, please?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. With all 5 members of the City Council being present, the City Council met in closed session to discuss the following items. Item number 1, one matter was discussed, not 2. One matter was discussed. City staff made a presentation. The City Council provided direction. No final reportable action was taken. With respect to item number 2A and B, updates were provided by the city staff. The City Council provided direction. No final reportable action was taken. Item number 2C was not discussed. That concludes my report out of closed session. Thank you.
Thank you, legal counsel. And could we, let me see, at this time, we're going to call the regular city council meeting to order. Lena, could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Linus.
Here.
Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Vice Mayor Altamirano.
Here.
And Mayor Guimeda.
Here. And at this time, could we have everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance by our Acting Public Works Director, Gina Nila. And the invocation, please remain standing. I'll do the invocation as your mayor. Thank you.
Please place your hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we gather here tonight, we invoke the spirit of unity and progress for our beloved city. May this council meeting be a forum for constructive discussion and decision-making that leads to the betterment of our community. Let us all work together with wisdom, compassion, and a shared commitment to the well-being of our city and its residents. We extend our gratitude to those who serve, and we welcome the opportunity to collaborate for the greater good. With open minds and open hearts, let us begin this meeting working towards a brighter future for our city. We ask this in your name. Amen. All right, and we'll start with appearances and presentations. Item number 1, presentation, National Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Commerce. And we have Moira Garcia, I believe, will be making a presentation on this.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is a great time to talk about early detection and pre-screening exams. Can we show the video? we just seen, early detection is the key. So together, we can empower our community to strive for wellness. As you see on the pink screen, we have different referrals that we can have for our community and everyone around us for women 40 years and older. So let's go over them. So we have a referral line, an 800 number where you call and they'll give you a clinic in your area where you can have free mammograms. We also have in Montebello, the same program. They have a clinic, Beverly Care Women's Health, and OBGYN. Also, we have an event coming up at the Citadel Outlets on October 20th to the 22nd, where they will have a mobile unit available for people to pre-screen. And in order to participate in something like that, you would have to schedule your appointments, and you can either call or use the website. I also have a flyer that you have available at your desk, and it's also a clinic in our area in Bell Gardens, and they will also be having an annual breast cancer awareness resource fair on the 14th from 10 to 2. And that same clinic is here in the City of Commerce, and in the future, they'll be coming to make a presentation. Also, we have the library who has ebooks that are offered through the iCloud library and Hoopla, and they have breast cancer awareness, and also there's a display there with helpful and information books available to check out. Flyers are available in the back and in the libraries for any resources for our community. We want to try to improve, and also it's very important for our community to be aware of all the great resources we have in our area, and also to strive for wellness. You also have some goodies that I left on your desk, and hopefully you can use it. One of them is a magnet that you put on your car. And if you have any questions, that's my presentation.
Any questions? Councilmember Rebollo?
Just a general comment. Thank you so much for the presentation, for the goodies, and just so we can make sure that we put these announcements on all of our social media platforms, especially the mobile testing at the Citadel,
Right.
So that the community can be aware. And that's it. Just thank you so much for the presentation and for lighting up City Hall pink. I think it's so important to remind folks to get their mammograms, not just for women, but there is also a small percentage, but there's also a percentage of men that can develop breast cancer. So just bringing awareness to that, to the percentage of men that can also develop breast cancer. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
Moira, thank you. We appreciate your presentation, and it's good to see that the awareness, of this unfortunate cancer that affects so many is on the decline. So that's good. We really appreciate your presentation, and thank you for everything that you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and with regards to item number 2, I believe this item will be continued to the next meeting, so we'll go ahead and move to public comment. No additional public comment? That was it? Okay. Lauren? Yeah, please come on up. And you're both welcome.
Am I on? Okay, hi, sorry. Just a quick, I was walking through the community and I realized that it was city council meeting. And I just wanted to come and say thank you to everyone on the council for your efforts with the speed bump. I had been here a couple times on Everington, and we've seen a huge shift in the traffic that's gone by. I have a little one, and I constantly cross the street, and I've been feeling safer with that. And I also wanted to come in it was ironic for the breast cancer awareness and say thank you. A few years ago, my mother was honored, and now as a nurse, I'm able to kind of give back to the community, and I'm fortunate enough to work with Kaiser, and I've mentioned how great our city is and how if there's opportunities, especially based off insurances and other factors, to always reach out to our community. And that being said too, I know times are tough for the city and everyone around us, but I wanted to try to advocate again for the Miss Commerce pageant. I was fortunate enough, I was Miss Commerce 2007, which was a very long time ago, but in my work as a nurse and anything that I've done, I've always made sure to bring that up. I think it's a huge opportunity to be a city ambassador. It's shaped me to be very open and conscious of my community, which has been a huge part of why I chose to work at the East LA Kaiser, where I know many of our residents go, and now it's a familiar face for them. So if at some point the pageant could come back, I think that was great for me and many past queens that have brought it into their careers now. So I just, again, wanted to say thank you for the speed bump. It was a little bit of improv showing up, and as well as please advocate for the Miss Commerce pageant possibly coming back. So thank you all.
Lauren, thank you for stopping by and thank you for your comments. Good to hear some positive feedback about some of the work being done out there. We appreciate you. Thank you. All right, we'll move to consent calendar at this time, and we have items 3, 4, and 5. Is there any comments or questions on these items? If not, a motion would be in order to approve these items.
If there is none, Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Thank you all. We'll move to scheduled matters. And we have a item number 6, which is a presentation and update from the Sheriff's Department regarding public safety in the City of Commerce. And today we have our captain from East LA Station, Brandon Dean. Thank you. We appreciate you being here today and making this report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me tonight. Also, thank you for your support a few weekends ago at the YMCA Gala Dinner. City of Commerce came out and definitely supported, had a large turnout there. It was a great event. The event was obviously for the YMCA to raise money for charity, as well as they were honoring first responders, law enforcement, and firemen. And thank you to the Commerce City officials that showed up and attended. It was a great event, so appreciate that. So tonight, I'm just going to go through some of these statistics and kind of go through where we're at and give an overall percentage of crime, whether it's up or down, and then I'll kind of just talk about some areas of concern that we're starting to see a little bit of trend in, and some of the things we're hopefully doing to mitigate those problems. So for the month of September, these are statistics that are as of September 30th, or excuse me, the end of September. I'll go through each category. For homicides, we did not have any in September. Sexual assaults, we had 1, which is giving us a year-to-date total of 3, with a percentage decline of year-to-date of 50%. Aggravated assaults, which is our shootings, stabbings, domestic violence, we had 5 during the month of September, giving us a year-to-date total of 59, which is a 19% decrease in this time as of last year.
Brandon, Captain, my apologies. Did we have a slide presentation? No slide presentation?
I do not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I know Myra said she did. I didn't know that you guys like it that. Now I know for next time I'll have it
It's okay.
in visual effects. Sorry.
No. It's good. I mean, I just wanted to make sure that if we didn't have one, but that's great, yeah. For
My
the next
apologies.
one. Please continue. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem, sir. So robberies, we had 2 for the month of September, giving us a year-to-date total of 43 in the city, which is a 14% decrease as of this time last year. Burglaries, 15 total for the month of September, giving us 128, which is a little bit of about a 24% decrease of this time last year. And then our other theft totals, which is your grand thefts, petty thefts, thefts from a vehicle, we had 36 for the month, giving us a year-to-date total of 506, which is about a 9% decrease. Auto thefts, 33 for the month of September, giving us a total of 291, which is down from 378 this time last year, which is a 23% drop. So as you can see, most areas across the board, those are our, what we call Part 1 crimes, as you guys know. Those are all down to varying degrees, which is good. The one area of that I do see a concern in is with the thefts. Even though overall it is down 9%, it started off the year at a much lower rate, but it has slowly creeped up to the point where it's probably going to be even with last year and maybe even go past that. You're starting to see a lot of thefts. I'm sure you guys see it in the media and the news, the flocking thefts, the thefts from convenience stores, CVS's, convenience stores, mom and pop shops, a lot of things like that. So some of the things that we've done to do that is obviously Sergeant Duarte's team has readjusted and working our high commerce center areas. About 2 weeks ago, I'll back up a little bit. One of the things the Sheriff's Department has done is they've started the Organized Retail Theft Task Force, which is made up of detectives from each station that is affected. It's stations that have high commerce center areas, high shopping district areas. Obviously here in East LA we're affected because the City of Commerce is directly affected, as well as the unincorporated area right there on Whittier Boulevard. So the Organized Retail Theft Task Force, we do have a detective specifically on the task force from East LA that's assigned to it. About 2 weeks ago, they conducted an operation in the Citadel where they netted four arrests for thefts. So we plan on continuing doing undercover operations at our shopping districts to hopefully curb this. I know specifically we've done it a lot on Whittier Boulevard in the county area because there was a couple stores on Whittier Boulevard that were getting hit 5 to 6 times a day. We really put a lot of resources in that area and it seemed to work. We went from 5 or 6 thefts a day from, it was the Nike store, 5 or 6 thefts a day to 1 over the last 3 weeks. So it's working. Again, we had to dedicate a lot of resources to it, but it seems to be working. So that's one of the areas, as you can see, like I said, the Part 1 crimes are going down, which is good, but that's one area that I can see that is starting to trend up. Another area of concern, I think that where we are falling behind a little bit on is our Part 2 crimes or our quality of life crimes. Your vandalism, low-grade vandalisms, drinking in public, things like that, which are more quality of life crimes, right? So obviously we have to redeploy our resources and deal with that. There obviously are limitations in what we can do. We are dealing with the new bail system in LA County. So unfortunately, there are only certain things we can do. We can effect the arrest, which is the direction that we were giving the deputies, is to still go out there and effect arrests and do everything that we can do in our power to help solve those problems. But obviously, we're dealing with some issues on that end. As far as that goes, the Sheriff's Department, compliance for the City of Commerce, we're within our compliance contract minute numbers. We're doing well. Some of the other things I'd like to talk about, response times. So this takes a while to update because they have to go through and it takes a while. So this is only as of August 30th. There's about a month drag time with this because it takes everything to calculate countywide. But our response times, specifically here in the City of Commerce, so they classify them as 3 different types of calls for service. Emergent calls, which are your code 3 response, lights and sirens. So like a crime in progress, a robbery now, a sexual assault now, anything that's happening right now, which would require a code 3 response. Our response time here in Commerce is 4.32 minutes, which compared to all the stations around us, the average, which would be our surrounding stations, Compton, Century, Pico Rivera, Industry, and Temple, the average is 4.65 minutes, so we're about a little bit less, which is good. Priority calls is the next thing. Priority calls doesn't necessitate a code 3 response, but it's considered a priority, so maybe a crime that had just occurred where the suspect might still be in the area. Again, those are not code 3 calls, so the deputies still have to abide by the rules and regulations of the road. Those were at 8 minutes flat, compared to, again, the same surrounding stations. Their average number was 9.8, so we're doing okay there. And then you have the third type of call is your routine calls for service, which would be like your report calls. Average time, or excuse me, Commerce right there is at 55 minutes. And the average with the surrounding stations is 51, so we're about 4 minutes behind on routine calls. So sometimes obviously that comes to availability and traffic conditions and patterns and all that. I give you guys those numbers to say that we're doing pretty well in response times compared to the surrounding stations. We're about a minute less in priority calls, a little bit less in emergent calls. Routine calls, again, we still have some work to do. So that's where we're at currently. Staffing-wise, we're still short in the Sheriff's Department, so you guys know that's just an honest assessment. We're still requiring our deputies to work at least 7 overtime shifts a month to make sure that we're in compliance with our contract minutes for our contract cities of Commerce, Cudahy, Maywood, and our incorporated minutes as well. But that's a global problem that's not specific to any one station or city. So with that, any questions that you guys have of me or any concerns or anything you'd like to ask?
Any comments or questions, members of City Council? Councilmember Reloya, please.
First of all, thank you so much for the report. Very nice to have you here as our new captain. I have two questions. Well, more of a, you talked about the zero bail, the new zero bail law. So I kind of wanted you to, if you can kind of explain what that means so that the community watching can understand what that looks like for us, as well as, I know you've made certain arrests for theft. Can you talk a little bit about what happens after you arrest, how long they stay in jail, all that stuff, all that good stuff, just kind of clarify for the community.
Absolutely. So the Sheriff's Department and LAPD have been dealing with this for a while. It was initially a lawsuit that was filed with the Superior Court judge in Los Angeles County. It became the rule of the county here on October 1st, this past Sunday, for all agencies. So moving forward, there still is cash bail, but it's only for specific violent felonies. You can look all this stuff up online, but some of those felonies would include murder, armed robbery, sexual assaults, attempt murders, and stabbings. You still have to post a cash bail. So you still can post bail, but your bail is set at whatever the predetermined amount is by the county. So I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but let's say a robbery was $100,000, you would have to post your percentage of that bail to bail out. So those violent felonies still require a cash bail. Moving down past that, there's now 3 ways that you deal with arrests. There's what's called a cite and release, a book and release, and a magistrate review. So, and all crimes are different. So most misdemeanors, some even including felonies, are cite and release. So that means the individual is not booked unless they don't have a proper identification. Then they can still be booked because they have to be live scanned and you have to know who they are when they're released. But if they say I'll give you an example, possession of a controlled substance. You know, the deputies stop an individual and the individual has methamphetamine or cocaine on them. That's a misdemeanor in the state of California. That falls under cite and release. So if that person had proper identification, they would be issued a ticket and released right there on the scene. So that's the first one, a cite and release, and that's most misdemeanors and some felonies. Then there's a book and release, which is very similar, but it requires us to actually take the individual into custody, into the station jail, book them, live scan them, which is where we take their fingerprints to confirm who they are, get an updated photo of them, and then they're released. So that's on most felonies and some misdemeanors as well. So you might have there's so many sections that we use in law enforcement, but like a burglary is a book and release. So residential burglary might be a book and release, or some of these crimes are book and release. So it's very similar to a cite and release, but they're actually taken into custody, but it's for a short amount of time. Usually for us to process someone, it takes a few hours. So again, scenario, you arrest the individual, you take them in because it falls under the book and release category, you live scan them, take their picture, conduct the proper paperwork, and they're usually released within custody with a citation or a promise to appear within a few hours. The third one is what's called a magistrate review, and that's for most of the other felonies. So one example off the top of my head is a ex-felon or a gang member in possession of a firearm is a magistrate review. And what happens is that individual is taken into custody, booked, and through an online portal system through the County of Los Angeles, a judge, a magistrate is sent the booking charges, and they can review his criminal history and things like that. And ultimately, the magistrate determines on whether or not that individual is to stay in custody or be released. So those are the 3 types of systems that we're dealing with currently. So the second part to your question, most petty thefts are cite and release. So grand thefts, I don't remember off the top of my head which would be your felony thefts, anything over 950, I believe they're a book and release. So they're still going to be released within a few hours. So most thefts are all either cite or book and release.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Linus?
Thank you, Mayor. Captain Dean, thank you for visiting us here in the City of Commerce today. We had the opportunity to meet at National Night Out, so really appreciate you coming back. And great work to you and to the department and to Sergeant Duarte, who I'm a big fan of. Just a few questions as it relates to the statistics you shared. We're seeing a decrease, pretty much down the line, and I know with thefts, maybe we're trending to be kind of like in line year over year with last year, right? But Are you seeing similar trends in surrounding communities? How is Commerce comparing to, say, a Linwood or a Cudahy? Are we seeing similar decreases, or is there something that the department is doing here in the city that's maybe proving to be effective?
I think depending on the area, but like if you're using Linwood as an example, I think we're doing a little bit better. You've seen a decrease in Part 1 crimes across the board for the most part. I think that's crime trends change, you know what I mean? So, criminals adapt, so I think there's a little bit of that going on. But I think as overall, Part 1 crimes are down throughout the county a little bit. I think specifically here in East LA, I think it's probably taking an aggressive approach to crime. We have specifically here in the Commerce, you have Sergeant Duarte's team that does an outstanding job. They're very proactive. We've sent them to a lot of different training and things like that so they can kind of think outside the box. They've been to the undercover class operators so they can do undercover operations with our Major Crimes Bureau, the Organized Retail Theft Task Force, search warrant and informant management training, so they can start doing things a little different and kind of do things unorthodox that a normal patrol deputy could do. You know what I mean? So we almost have created like mini investigative / patrol teams so they can do more than just a patrol deputy. So the goal is to get them all the training they can. So a lot of the times we have great things on this department, right? Like our narcotics unit and our gang units and all this, and they're great, but just like any unit, they're spread throughout the county, right? Everybody wants them. Everybody needs the narcotics unit over here or the gang unit over here. So what we're trying to do different is get these guys, not only in the Commerce team, but the other specialized teams in Cudahy and the unincorporated area, to all the training that these individuals would go to so that they can be doing the same thing these units can do, but we don't kind of have to wait in line. Does that kind of answer your question, sir?
It does, thank you. And then one more, we talked about thefts, kind of right now, year over year, 9% decrease, but it is creeping up. Is this largely commercial thefts as opposed to residential?
It's mostly your petty thefts, your grab and goes or grand thefts.
Okay.
That's what we're seeing a lot is in your retail districts, right? People go in and they just grab what they can grab and take off. And obviously anything under 950 is a petty theft, anything over 950 is a grand theft.
Okay, all right, and that's where the organized retail theft task force comes into play?
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Any other questions?
Hi.
Councilmember Garcia.
Hello. My question is more regarding your routine. You said it took 55 minutes to get to a routine stop, right?
A routine call for
A
service.
routine
yes.
call, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
So how many do we have stationed here in Commerce? How many police officers?
On any given shift, or are you talking about total or any given shift?
Any given shift?
I would have to look at the compliance numbers, but I believe off the top of my head, it's like 4 on day shift, which is your 0600 to 2 in the afternoon. I believe 5 or 6 on the 2 to midnight, and then around 4 or 5 on the 10 at night till 6 in the morning.
So my question is, why would it take 55 minutes to get to a routine call?
It's just dealing with several calls for service. So the routine calls are typically, they're dispatched in, if you have an emergent or priority call and that individual deputy is handling that call. And you got to remember, a lot of these calls, the units here in Commerce are one person units. So you have one deputy working in that call. So if you have an emergent call of a domestic violence now, you're typically going to send at least 2 to 3 units for that. So if you have a 5-person shift and you have 3 units tied up for 20, 30, 40 minutes dealing with a domestic violence call, that only leaves you those 1 or 2 to deal with all the other stuff. And that's just kind of an example. You get the priority calls for service, you're sending multiple units, so it's kind of they prioritize the calls as best they can, and the routine ones just typically take longer.
Okay, thank you.
Captain, I did have a follow-up, but I believe you addressed it with Councilmember Linus, and I'm glad to hear that you're working with our retail, facilities, the Citadel and the Commerce Shopping Center. Those tend to be our biggest problem areas related to, theft and also grand theft out of, a lot of vehicles being stolen, broken into. So glad to see some of the work that you're doing there, and maybe at some point you can kind of brief us a little bit on some of the activities you guys are doing, not here in open, but the council, I think, just so that we get an idea of some of what you're doing related to that, to try to get ahead of that a little bit. I mean, I know the smash and grab is very prominent now. You see one, just about every day on the news, and it's just so disappointing to see that kind of activity going on, and hopefully we can get on top of it, And I'd like to see what technologies, what tactics are being used to curb that or get ahead of it. It'd just be good to get a report on that, to see what we're doing with regards to that.
Absolutely.
But you did cover some of that already, and I'm happy to see that you are working with our existing facilities that we're concerned with. But overall, thank you. We appreciate you. I know you got a very busy schedule, but we appreciate you being here today and making the report today. And also, I don't think you've had the opportunity to be introduced to our community. I don't recall we've done that. So we want to thank you and introduce you as our new captain. We welcome you being here. I know you've been here before for our National Night Out and whatnot, but not to one of our council meetings. So we thank you for being here tonight.
No, thank you, and thank you for your support as always.
Welcome. Thank you for your report. Motion to receive and file report would be in order. I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. And
Second, third.
and a third even. Okay. So we'll receive and file that report. Thank you. We'll move to item number 7, council appointment of delegate to the Los Angeles County Vector Control. Lena, you mind covering that item?
So the appointments made to could be council members or residents. Currently, it's a resident that finishing up the term until December 31st or January 1st. And it's a council appointment. You can choose between, typically we had like council members, but then one of the council members became a resident and he's finishing up the term. It doesn't have to be done today if we don't have anybody wanting to do that, because appointment starts on January 1st.
Sure.
We just wanted to bring it up for council to give opportunity to decide.
Thank you. Is there any interest of any member that would like to serve, or do you want to continue this item to the next meeting?
Mayor, I'm interested in serving if no one else on the council is.
Anybody else? Nobody else? I think we're good. Yeah. Then we'll go ahead and appoint. Do you need a motion on that, or would that be sufficient?
Yes, because the Greater Los Angeles agencies, they always ask for the minutes with the motion.
Okay.
I would move to appoint Councilmember Lainez to Vector Control.
Can I just clarify, is it appointment for 2 years or 4 years? There is an option for that.
I would say 4 years.
We good?
I'm okay with that, sure.
It's fine.
All right.
We're good.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
We
I
have
motion,
and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Motion passes. Thank you for volunteering to serve on that. Ordinances and resolutions, item number 8. First reading and introduction of an ordinance amending municipal code by adding chapter 5.18, mobile food vending. Who will be reporting? Oh, there you are. You're already.
Good
right
evening,
up there.
Mayor and
Thank you.
members of City Council. My name is Jocelyn Portales. I'm the Deputy City Attorney for the City of Commerce. Tonight before you, Honorable Mayor and members of City Council, I'm introducing on behalf of the City Attorney's Office, Chapter 5.18, named Mobile Food Vending Ordinance. And the purpose of this introduction of this ordinance is an increase of inquiries that the city has received of interested applicants that want to apply for a vendor's license, but there is no procedure set in place. In addition to that, there is no ordinance currently in place that addresses that. So that's how this came about. Previously, the city did have a mobile food vending ordinance, but it was removed. The ordinance before you tonight is introducing that and also focusing on regulations. And also it's focusing on procedures on how vendors can apply. The City Attorney's Office, in conjunction with city staff, have been collaborating together on creating a procedure that focuses on how vendors, both mobile and sidewalk vendors, can apply for a business license with the city. And the ordinance is also in conjunction with Chapter 5.16, which focuses on sidewalk vending. And at this time, the city attorney's office is prepared to answer any questions. I'm not sure if you and the members of city council had time to review the materials before you, but we are prepared to answer any questions for you at this time.
Is there any comments or questions on this item? You mind going over this again? We didn't have this particular ordinance in place for them to apply for a.
That's correct. And our office is more than happy to find out when it was removed. We did do some preliminary research to see when that date was, but we weren't able to find the exact date.
Okay. And so there being no process, there's no way for anybody to apply for one. So in essence, they can just, well, they didn't have a process to file. And so and are we reintroducing the previous ordinance with some modifications with existing changes in the law? Or what are we doing here?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So we are reintroducing the previous ordinance. There are some slight changes to the ordinance, and I can direct you to what those changes are.
Yeah, and if you don't mind just covering them so that everybody that's hearing or here in attendance can hear
Absolutely.
the changes.
So some of the changes that were included from the previous ordinance is the definition section, which is on page 1, section 5.18.010 definitions. Our office just included the previous definitions that were already adopted from chapter 5.16. Those are the first changes. The second change is on section 3, which is on page 3. Our office added chapter 5.18.020 authority. This is one of the most recent changes that we made that's in accordance with state law. We also added section 4, chapter 5.18.030, vending prohibited. And section 5 is a reiteration of what was previously in the ordinance.
Okay. And you also covered the recent changes that we approved also. And I believe we made it illegal to set up in certain areas where we had highly congested areas, where it would be considered a hazard to set up there, right? How's that coming along? You mind just, if you, I mean, maybe Ralph or somebody else might be able to help us with that, but I'm just wondering how that's coming along. Because I'm still seeing some of the same vendors at some of the very streets that we actually, prohibited, where they are supposed to set up. So I'm still seeing some of them out there. And it continues to be a hazard for, I see people parking right off of Washington, let's say, and then they want to park right in front of the vendor, right? And so then all of a sudden you got traffic coming through and they're basically blocking it in some cases. And one of them is right on Washington, right before the 710 freeway. So again, now you have people trying to get onto the freeway, but now they're in the way because people have stopped now to get a drink or something. So I'm just wondering how are we doing with that in terms of enforcement?
With Jocelyn's permission and yours, Mayor and Council, I'm going to defer that update for when the vehicle's preparing for you.
Okay.
He's absent this evening. But we will get that update for the City Council. And I would also like to underscore something that Jocelyn mentioned, which is this was unintentionally omitted from a previous code update. So for the most part, this is just reinserting the regulations back into our code. I want to make sure that the council and the public grasp that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you mind just talking a little bit about the ordinance that we previously passed? I know that, it's not part of this, but there's reference made to it. You mind covering a little bit of that, just so that everybody that's now here or maybe hearing this at home can at least understand some of that?
Yes, Your Honor. So I actually have a city staff member that would be able to elaborate on that a little bit more. I spoke with the Code Enforcement Supervisor, Ralph Avero, who actually introduced me to that previous chapter. So I do have him here with that, and in case City Council has any questions.
Sure. Yeah.
So in regards to the previous adopted section, related to the street vendors. I believe Vilco is sending out a notice to you all to do workshops, to present the application that we've come up with, as well as literature for how to apply and how to walk the people through that want to apply for a license. So we're in the process of putting together maybe a recorded, like a videotaped workshop that we can present to them, they can watch online, so they can learn how to apply and we can walk them through the process. So that's something that we want to present to you when we have those workshops with you.
Okay, thank you, Ralph. That
And
wasn't
I can answer
the-
your question as far
Yeah.
as enforcement efforts of late. So some we have tracked down. I was able to track down an LLC that's behind one of the larger vendors that was popping up here, and I mailed them an admin site. And we haven't seen them since. Others, it's very difficult because nobody has ID on them and will furnish ID for us to cite them.
All right. Any other comments or questions? We have two. Councilmember Regoya?
Just two quick questions. Do we have a fee structure yet for the permit?
Not yet, Your Honor. What we're doing right now is I'm actually working with city staff on determining the fee. It's going to be for now on a case-by-case basis, but I do know that the assistant city manager is trying to set up meetings for the next month to discuss those details.
Okay, and then my second question, on chapter 5.18, where it says local, vehicle code permits local authorities to regulate the type of vending and the time. Local authorities meaning public code enforcement, public safety, sheriffs. Does it encompass all the public safety personnel that we have in the City of Commerce, or is it specific to somebody?
Are you looking at a certain line in the ordinance? Or I could-
Yeah, the first line on page 4, chapter 5.18 is adopted pursuant to the authority granted to the City of Commerce by section 22-455 California Vehicle Code, which permits local authorities to regulate the type of vending and the time, place, and manner of vending from vehicles upon the street in order to promote public safety.
Thank you for that. Yes, so for local authorities, it does include third-party agencies, so this
Okay.
would include parking enforcement, it would include the
Okay.
public safety officers, it would include code enforcement, and anyone that the city deems proper to handle that.
Great. With that, I want to say thank you. I know we've sat on many workshops with you, and you kind of like were explaining it, getting our ideas, getting our feedback. And I just really want to thank you for your attention to detail and, making sure that whatever loophole there was within the law that we are covered. So I just want to really thank you for all the work that you put into this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilmember Linus?
Thank you, Mayor. Jocelyn, thank you for the presentation. I just want to make a comment here specific to Section 5, Item C, numbers 1 and 2, as it relates to ice cream trucks and ice cream vendors. So the City of Commerce, and specifically Rosewood Park, is a little unique in the sense that we have a park right across the street from a school. However, I think, Item 2, we are saying that vendors of ice cream, candy, and food shall not stand or park any motorized vehicle from which ice cream, candy, or food is sold, displayed, solicited, offered for sale, bartered, or exchanged within 300 feet of any schools. So the thing is this, and this is what I have an issue with. We've restarted our youth sports programming. There's a lot of energy and activity at the park. And we have our neighborhood ice cream truck that's camped out there. Even growing up, I grew up in the city of LA. I would play Little League and there would be the ice cream truck right there, right? Ready, ripe for a hot day. And it seems like these items in the ordinance would preclude that from happening here. So, and I see Ralph getting up, so maybe he's going to speak to it. But personally, I do have an issue with those two specific items in the ordinance.
Yeah. I just want to, thank you for that. I just want to clarify that this was a reintroduction of what was previously there. So the city attorney's office would be more than happy to have a separate meeting and be able to amend that accordingly to what city council desires to see there.
So basically, it's something that's always been there, is what you're saying?
This was previously there, yes.
Sorry, I didn't. mean to-
Okay,
And
no,
the
that's
city-
fine.
yeah, And the city council can choose to, read an amendment into the record. However, I think from staff's viewpoint, maybe what Ralph was gonna say is that it's good to have this, sort of, tool at our disposal in the event that you have these ice cream trucks and so forth that are creating more traffic issues when you already have congestions related to schools and creating like this unsafe atmosphere. But certainly, we're, happy to take the city council's direction on that, and you could read it into the record this evening, should you choose to.
Okay.
Because the previous section did restrict parks altogether. So we took a look at that and we said, well, we understand school section should be further away from the school because there's enough traffic when people are, when school lets out and all the parents picking up, and we don't want to create more traffic hazard with kids running across the street trying to get ice cream. But this 300 feet does not preclude the ice cream truck from stopping on Commerce Way where it usually stops, routinely. That's within the section.
Okay.
So, and on the backside of the park as well. So it's mainly to keep it from parking along Harbor in front of Rosewood School.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
And I just wanted to comment really quickly that the city attorney's office is working again with the assistant city manager to make sure that city council is apprised of any changes that we're going to make. So please anticipate an invitation within the next month for that.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jocelyn.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? All right, seeing none, a motion would be in order to approve this item. We done? Yeah. All right, good. A motion would be in order at this time, and appreciate your comments that our council member made, and hopefully we can move this item, which I think is appropriate considering some of what's being taken into consideration. I get it about the ice cream truck. We don't want it to be too close where now it could potentially create another hazard, but at the same time, I see there being another problem. And now you've got kids maybe going away a little further to go get an ice cream, and now they're away from public eye. And so, you know what, I really think we should probably have further discussion on that and see how we can move forward. But what would be your recommendation at this point? Should we move the item, or do you want to make some amendments? I'd recommend that we at least have some discussion so we can maybe talk about some different ways of addressing this instead of trying to fix it here now. You can.
I'd like to put a motion to move forward with this item.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second, and all in favor, please respond with an aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. So we're done with this item for now, but I certainly would encourage additional discussion related to this item. If we need to amend it based on the discussions that were had, I think we should do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our city clerk wanted to say something, Mayor, and I also
I will read the title of the ordinance, an ordinance of the City of
My
Commerce.
apologies, thank you.
And before she does, I just wanted to point out, I think it's a prudent move to have something in the books with respect to this subject. And I also think that it's wise for the city council to continue to engage in discussions with staff so that we make sure that, the ordinance evolves should it need to based on community needs. So thank you, council. And I'll now relay it to the clerk.
Thank you. Lena?
An ordinance of the City of Commerce adding Chapter 5.18 to the City of Commerce Municipal Code relating to mobile food vending.
Thank you, Lena. And, wow, I believe that concludes our agenda. All right. Yeah, that concludes our agenda. We'll move to city council reports. And I'll start over to my left with Councilmember Rebollo, please. Sure. No problem. Councilmember Garcia.
I attended the senior breakfast and I enjoyed it. We had a little social hour. Seniors came up to me and voiced their concerns and their happiness with the breakfast that we've been providing our seniors. So I'm very happy to see them, that they're happy, because we're always trying to promote happiness and health for the seniors. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And you still need some time?
No.
Okay. Councilmember
I was trying
Revoy?
to remember what I did. I forgot what I did yesterday. So I attended the Industrial Council's event, and it, as always, it's always a nice time to just talk to the businesses here in the community, hear their concerns, if any. You know, the recurring comments were how much they appreciate Sergeant Duarte and the proactivity to like the business watch type of enforcement. So I appreciate the Industrial Council, and that's really it. And just congratulations to our flag football participants. We're still waiting to, my son's level is still waiting to play. And just kind of encourage the community to sign up your kids to play. There's actually not enough kids on my kids' age group, our boys' age group. So they haven't even started playing games. But I also seen that trend in other cities. I believe Montebello last year had the same problem, and they had to cancel their league. So, you know, just to encourage the community to sign up your kids to play, whether it's football, soccer, whatever it is. The 11-year-old age group, they're, you know, where those kids are suffering. They're not suffering because they're practicing, but they haven't had the opportunity to have a game. So that's just that. And then congratulations to the water polo teams that were out in Santa Barbara this past weekend. And good luck to the water polo teams that will be in Arizona competing in the Rocktober tournament this weekend. And that's it. Thank you to everyone that came here tonight that's enjoying from the comfort of their home. Continue to look out for each other, and God bless everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rebollo, and Councilmember Linus.
Thank you, Mayor. On September 28th, I joined the Commerce Business Council's event at Topgolf in El Segundo, along with many of the colleagues here. I want to thank Jim Crawford at Cal Water for the invitation, as well as the Commerce Casino and Graphic Electric, who helped sponsor the event. I had fun. I'm a terrible golfer, but it just made me realize that maybe I need to practice. On September 29th, I was able to attend the ribbon cutting of the brand new Dodgers Clubhouse store at the Citadel Outlets. So if anyone needs any licensed great Dodgers gear for the postseason, that's the place to go. So let's send the Dodgers some good vibes tomorrow, because they're down 0-2. And if they're out of the postseason, if they're out of the playoffs, then I see a decline in business there. Last Wednesday, October 4th, I joined Tree People, Climate Resolve, and several other organizations, along with many members of our community, to help plant trees along Triggs next to Bristow Park in honor of California Clean Air Day. I want to thank our Parks and Rec, Public Works, and Transportation departments for their hard work to support the event, shuttling people from Rosewood Park to Bristow Park, helping plant the trees, and of course, setting up and breaking down at Bristow Park. I also want to thank any other city staff or departments that I may have missed to help put this together, as well as Vegano by Stick Station for donating some ice cream bars. So with that said, that concludes my reports. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Vice Mayor.
All right, this is just a question for our city manager. Are the art in public places, the actual flyer, people have said that they try to get online. I think there's a little QR code, but it takes them straight to the library. And then from there, they didn't know how to navigate through that. And then second, there are some residents saying that there's some artists that have been sending some emails and don't get any response. So I'm not sure if we have the correct information online, or if we can start to post something online and then let us know who the point of contact is, please. Okay, that's all my reports. Thank you.
Thank you. And I too had an opportunity to attend September 28th, the Industrial Council's, or Business, Commerce Business Council now, Topgolf event in El Segundo. Great event. I love some of what they're doing with regards to just moving around the events, different locations, trying different venues, and I think they're getting a very good turnout. people coming out and really getting engaged, and of course at the same time having a little bit of fun. It was a fun event, and I know our colleague here says he wasn't a very good golfer, but believe me, he was putting them golf balls out there. He got some distance for sure, and the rest of my colleagues weren't bad at all either. Yeah, you guys are hitting the ball, making contact, and having fun. So, anyways, yeah, congratulations to Jim and his staff for doing a great job out there. And of course, I also, on September the 30th, I had the opportunity to attend the 36th Annual YMCA Gala, honoring our, law enforcement, our heroes, firefighters, and law enforcement. And thank you, Captain, for being there, and our sergeant that were there being honored. Appreciate all of the great work that you guys are doing out there, and under what I think are very difficult and challenging times nowadays. So you guys continue to do a great job out there, and we appreciate everything that you do. So thank you. Great event held by YMCA, and of course they were able to raise some money for a very worthwhile organization. They do a lot of good work for not only the City of Commerce here, but other communities, Montebello and other areas. So we're very fortunate to have them here in the City of Commerce. I also had an opportunity to attend a luncheon with our public works staff on October the 4th. And I was just, meeting with all of our staff to thank them for the great work that they've done. For some of you who haven't had a chance to look at the work they did right outside the kitchen area, they basically have fixed it, and they've, we re-envisioned it, as my vice mayor here usually uses. He likes to use that word, re-envisioning. But we re-envisioned it and made it more usable for everybody, not only for the council, but I think for just all of our staff. If you have time to sit out there, maybe have some lunch there. I think previously it just didn't lend itself to that, and we were able to utilize our public works staff to keep costs down and do it at a reasonable cost, and they were able to put something together that looks really nice. And also, thank you, Lena. I know you played a little bit of role in that, in selecting some of the equipment, the tables and chairs and things like that. So, but overall, I want to thank everybody for the great work that they did. And I know that us as council, we've been submitting requests, and I know they were shorthanded. They've been shorthanded, and they were somehow finding a way to get things done. I know I've recently have submitted several requests for cleanups on Slauson, on Eastern, it's just different requests that I've submitted, and they've been able to get them all done and get things cleaned up. But I just wanted to thank them, and we appreciated them. We had lunch with, I believe it was approximately about 20 individuals, and thank you all for the great work you all continue to do. And I also did have an opportunity to visit with a coffee on October the 5th with Paul Parzik, who we extended our congratulations and farewell. He was the executive director for the Y, who's done a fabulous job, great job. And I attended the coffee that he had over in Montebello and presented him with a certificate recognizing him for the great work that he's done. Yeah, it was I don't know, they're going to have a tough time, I think, filling that position. He's done a phenomenal job, and it's my understanding that they do have 3 internal candidates that are going through the process now that they are interviewing, and hopefully soon we'll find out who will be heading that organization. But we look forward to working with whoever it is, and the good thing is that it's somebody that's internal, which I know they will have plenty of experience, having been with the Y for many years, and will be familiar with each of the different areas here. So anyways, that concludes my report, and again, we want to thank all of you. Stay safe, and we wish you all well. Thank you. And that concludes our meeting. Thank you.